Grant Napier, Sean Salisbury, No Filtered Network. How the hell are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? It's good to be with you.
I'm great. This happens every year. I don't know of any other sport, and I really mean this, where a season can change like that. I mean, here we are. We're almost at the end of the season. A team that you and I have been raving about all year, the Arizona Cardinals, look lost right now. And boy, without Hopkins, that's a huge loss. But you just cannot go and lose to the Detroit Lions in the middle of fucking December if you're the Arizona Cardinals. And whereas only 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the most, they looked like, they were right there with Green Bay. Now all of a sudden you got to ask yourself, do you even worry about the Cardinals anymore? They look lost right now.
Yeah, I don't. Now, I know they have, quarterbacks always matters, but the guys that are going to play are pretty good too, meaning Brady and Rodgers and Stafford. Yep. Grant, I'm with you. And then we'll get to Tampa, but you lose Godwin. So what does that mean, right? Now he's out.
Yep.
And with Hopkins out, it's like changed their – I don't know if it's changed the way they threaten teams, but when you lose guys that are that good, not just named a quarterback, it's tough. And think about how we were talking about the Colts 7 weeks ago. Now we got them as a dangerous team. The Cardinals were, oh, my gosh. And I'll be honest with you, Grant, I don't know. I was saying this on my show, my morning show a couple of days ago. I don't think they can run with the big dogs yet. I don't. Now, I know that's harsh to say, and I know they're capable of doing it. But right now, and you just can't. You can't be unfocused and go on the road and play against a bad team when you're battling for home field advantage, when you know damn well as Green Bay sitting in a position you don't want to go play them from Arizona to Lambeau. I know how big a winner Kyler Murray is, but then to say we weren't prepared, we were not prepared for this game. We went in, took them for granted. When you disrespect another team, that can happen. Kyler was very transparent about it. I don't think this team could sustain that run. I think they actually could be in and out quickly now. And like you said, 3 weeks ago, you and I were raving about them a month ago, and here they are, and it changes like that. I don't even – if you said, Sean, go through 6 or 7 teams that you say, oh, they're dangerous, right now Arizona's not one of them for me.
No. I'll tell you, there are 2 teams that you and I talked about. Last week, I gave you 2 teams that I had my eye on, and I said, if the Colts beat the Patriots, keep an eye on them. I look for teams with momentum at the end of the year. Another team, San Francisco. Now, I think San Francisco has the makings of winning a couple of games in the playoffs. I don't know if I would say that necessarily about the Colts. The 49ers were down and out. They had lost 3 in a row. They had that bad home loss to Arizona, and they got back up. They picked themselves up. Their defense, we know, can play. They have a running game. And I'll tell you, the guy that I think makes that entire team go is George Kittle. When George Kittle is on the field, they're a completely different football team. Keep your eye on the Niners right now. They got an interesting game coming up Thursday at Tennessee, which I think, by the way, these fucking schedulers, there's no way that on Thursday Night Football, a team should have to go from California to Tennessee to play a game. It's ridiculous. I hate these Thursday night games. Have a game in your own time zone. Why is it that you got to fucking fly 3.5 hours to play a game on a Thursday night? But with that said, I kind of like what the Niners are doing right now, Sean.
Yeah, and you mentioned both those teams, and you have, and I'm glad you did. And I got my football hour later tonight on, with the on 95.7, the game Lorenzo Neal, where it's just dedicated to the 49ers for an hour. And Grant, you want to talk about the ebbs and flows of that team this year? Good gracious. From last year, coming off a Super Bowl the year before, all the injuries. Oh, we got to go draft a quarterback. Oh, we're in the Stafford. Now we found out they were in the Stafford mix, and they weren't. They traded 2 number ones, Louis Lance, who now doesn't get to the field. You and I have talked about, when do you make that change? Well, Jimmy's fighting him off. Regardless of the pressure he's on, he's playing well enough to win. And then they go through it like, well, is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat? What's wrong with him? Oh, they got more injuries. Oh, Debo's playing great. Oh, Kittle's out. Oh, Kittle's back in and catches like 15-9 or 13-9 in back-to-back games. Kelsey's phenomenal. We got great tight ends in the league. Yep. I think Kittle's the best all-around tight end in football. Blocking, I know about blocking and receiving. And a captain, he does, Grant, make them go. And then they're running it well, yet they don't have Mostert. But then Trent, Williams dominates the offensive line. And then 1 week we're like, are they good enough, the rest of the positions? And then Bosa goes and gets 2 sacks. And then Fred Warner, certainly when he comes, it's crazy. And now Kyle's not only not on the hot seat, apparently, that they got a chance to roll into the playoffs. Right now they can beat anybody in the NFC West. So you're right about that. For the Colts, it's simple. I am 100% with you on they're dangerous. They play solid enough defense. They can get after you. They run well on defense. The quarterback's been down this mix before, and they've got what I consider – the truth is Jonathan Taylor deserves to be in the top 3 mentions for the MVP right now. Because without him – I put it this way, if Carson Wentz was playing his best football and they did not have Jonathan Taylor, I think they're just an average – I do, even with Wentz playing. It's usually we'd say Rodgers and Brady and the quarterback, right? This team's going to go where Taylor takes them, and their offensive line is doing a great job. This kid is phenomenal. Inside, outside, catching it, running it, making people miss. And look at Wentz's performance last week. He was not good. He was not good. And they still took care of their business and won a game against the Patriots, against the, and Belichick can make quarterbacks look like that. If Wentz plays B football, just B, Grant, which isn't your top tier, and they keep doing what they're doing, this team is going to be a tough out. I'm just telling you they are. But Wentz can't play C or D football because then that puts too much pressure on the defense and on the run game to handle it. So he's got to play some B football if they're a Super Bowl threat. But the way they're playing right now, both those teams, you're exactly right. If you're taking one from each, the two most dangerous, and I'm with you, kind of like an NCAA basketball tournament. Give me the team that's got some talent and good, but is rolling going in. That's why I kind of like a team that even sometimes doesn't get home field advantage, has to play all the way through. They're not taking any time off. They're just rolling. If they're healthy, going through it. So 2 dangerous teams as long as they stay focused down the stretch.
Something else I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know if it's fucking analytics. I don't know what it is. There are too many coaches that are leaving points on the field early in the games now. It happens every week. We saw it again with Baltimore, giving up a field goal opportunity in the first quarter. What happens? They go for 2 at the end of the game. I saw what you put on social media, and I don't disagree with you. I think going for 2 on the road is appropriate. But you know what, Sean? If I have to tell my football team that I got a backup quarterback and I need 2 yards to beat the Green Bay Packers, I think my team's going to be okay with that. I'm okay with going for 2 at the end of the game to try to win it. Yeah, it didn't work out. That's twice this year. It hasn't worked out. But you know what? I'm okay with that. But giving up points early in the game, Harbaugh has done that a couple of times. But we see other coaches doing that. Is this a new trend in the NFL? Is it based on fucking analytics? Is it based on the fact that scoring keeps on going up and up and up and coaches go, well, shit, I'm not going to beat this team with 3 points. I need touchdowns. What is it all about, Sean? And
Brandon Staley the week before against the Chiefs cost himself by going through 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 4. Right. And it ended up going to overtime and they cost it. And I love that guy as a head coach. Analytics, metrics say so in certain, you put it on a card. If they're in this situation, go for it. I don't like chasing points unless I got to chase points, Grant. Does that make sense? I don't want to chase it unless you tell me to chase it. Shit. And if I don't have to chase it, I'm not chasing it. Now, and listen, it's not even just on the road. I don't even know in that circumstance if I was on the road in Green Bay in Harbaugh, who I think John's one of the 3 or 4 best coaches in the league. I love him. Friggin' love him. Very rarely am I not on John Harbaugh's side. Well, because I think he's really friggin' good. Matter of fact, I can make the argument, and I love Jim too, that John's the best coach in the family, and Jim's chasing him now as opposed to the way it used to be, right? You think about it. With the way John's done, never was a coordinator, special teams coach, and what he's done, and he trusts his players. Grant, he does, and they trust him. So he believes in him, and Huntley played a good game. But I look at if metrics are telling me this and go for it in certain situations down and distance, but also isn't there some analytic or feel? I can't ever get rid of feel. There's still got to be a part of both that say we're on momentum. Now, if my defensive coordinator told me, if I'm John Harbaugh, dude, we are spent. I got nothing left. We cannot, if we extend this game, we're fucked. Then I get it, right? The communication's important. But if you think I can go, and they already were on 2 touchdown momentum, and your defense is getting off the field in the 4th quarter, meaning Baltimore, you tell me you get a 50-50 chance, and I don't even know if it's 50, what the analytics say on 4th at the 2.5-yard line or 3-yard line, whatever it is now, and then going in to score. Or, okay, if you lose the toss, if your defense holds them to a field goal, you get another chance. So there's 1. If they get if they win the toss to go down and score, okay, well, then they go 85 or 75 yards to score, then Rodgers is just better than you. 3 is they don't score and you kick a field goal and win. 4 is they do score and you take it to, then we finish the overtime to sudden death. Or 5 is you win the toss, you go down and score, the game's over. I kind of like my chances the way we were playing, and the backup quarterback, Huntley, was doing a good job. I'll take 5 chances as opposed to 1 in certain situations, especially you got to know the room. 8 and 6 to 9. I mean, you got a chance to get to 9 and 5, right? And I get it. I don't listen, Grant. I'm an offensive player. Normally, I say go for the throat, right? Put them away. But I just felt for me, and a lot of these are analytical. They are. It's like baseball. Hey, in this situation, you just go. Here's what you do. We don't bunt anymore. We do this. But every now and then, a coach has also got to say, they tell me this, but I got a great feel for my football team on the sideline. So if I combine both, I'm going to trust my defense, which would be basically when you do that, you're telling them that your defense can't get a stop on Rodgers. That's what you're saying. In truth, if they win the friggin' coin toss. So for me, I can also use the psychological stuff the other way, saying, fuck this. He's a great player. I trust this defense. And then if you do get a stop, all hell breaks loose. Momentum, you're fired up. So yep. I see both. And, we can all sit back and say it, but when you're in that situation, you get a feel on the sidelines. I get why John did it. And I even said when it was going on, not after the fact, which is easy to do, I would have kicked that extra point and played for my chances to win a toss in overtime and see if I at least get a field goal to make air and have to go the distance of the field next time. I would have taken my chances in that. Now, game 2, game 3, go for it, dude. Your quarterback's hurt. Give it a rip. But I get it. I think you got a mixed feel and analytics both, Grant. I think we're getting so caught up, and I don't like a guy who's all feel because then emotion takes over. Sometimes you just got to say our team's equipped or ill-equipped, but if it's just numbers, then I don't think you can be a great coach if you just follow the numbers, because that means you're impersonal to your football team too, and I don't like that.
All right, let's talk about Tampa, because not only did Godwin is out for the year with an ACL, we saw Evans with a hamstring. Last year when they signed Antonio Brown, Bruce Arians said if he screws up, he's gone. Well, I guess a fake vaccination card doesn't constitute screwing up. Hey, I get it. It's pro sports. It's the NFL. It's about, hey, I need to win on Sunday. This guy gives me a better chance to win than losing. I'm talking about Brown. A couple of things here. Do you think if Godwin had not injured himself and Evans, do you think Brown would still be on the team? That's number one. And number two, this is a huge loss for Tampa. They also lost a big special teams player, and they get shut out. They get shut out by New Orleans. Do you look at Tampa differently today than we did the last time we talked on this show? Yeah,
I'm uncomfortable, Grant. I'm not quitting. Anybody that, if you're dumb enough, not you, but society and football fans are just dumb enough to think that Brady's can't write this. Put it this way, the safest spot, I've done this before with this team, Grant.
Yep.
They're like when Rodgers got beat by the Saints, or when I remember we were having a talk one time when I said Rodgers the next week, when they got beat by somebody, I said the safest bet in the world is Rodgers playing the following week, right? And they boat raced whoever they were playing, right? And then this one, yeah, exactly. And so this one, the safest bet on the planet for me this week is a Carolina, and they play Carolina, the Jets, and Carolina. They're going 3-0, which is going to get them to 13-4. And we're sitting here saying, I'll take 13-4 with just 2 players on the field if I can get to that. So anybody that's dumb enough to quit on Brady ain't been watching for 22 years. You and I both fucking know, especially the last 8 when he was supposed to be done after year 14, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this is when they thrive. But this late in the season, we don't see this from. We normally see their clunker week 7 or 8, and maybe see 2 of them throughout the year. It bothers me, which can work in 2 ways. Either they're just not that good right now, meaning they're just not that good. And New Orleans has them. Some teams just get you, man. They've got them 3 of the last 4 games, and they not only get them, their defense makes it miserable on Tom, and they've done a hell of a job. But 9 points, 15 years, they haven't been shut out. So it's going to work one of 2 ways. Either they're not very good and they're in danger, or it's going to be like Bruce is probably cussing them up and down on the field. He's probably telling them how bad they are and that they're horse shit, and that they'll respond and be great and that they're dangerous, because all they need is about 3 games of Tom throwing 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and head into the playoffs feeling pretty damn good, because they got an easy road up. It's easy road the next 3 for them. But they'll want to get right. So I'm not quitting on them, but I'm a little uncomfortable, Grant, because it's not the fact that they lost, it's how they lost. It was just Mitson this and Tom throwing a ball late on the sideline for a pick, which is not like him, right? He'll throw a pick every now and then, but I don't like it. But I trust that he can get it fixed. I don't have them as my number 1 seed anymore. If I was picking and had to bet everything, the Packers and the Chiefs are the 2 teams I'd pick right now. That's the 2 teams because Rodgers is he's feeling it. So, and to answer your other question, I believe Bruce Arians, even if Evans and Godwin were healthy, because of the leadership on that team, I'm sure he had a conversation with Tom or the rest of them. What do we need here? I think because Bruce and he'll even say, because I don't really give a shit what the rest of the people think. I'm doing what's best for my football team. And what's best for his football team, whether we like it or not, is to line him with Gronk, Brown. I'm talking about if Godwin and Evans were healthy. One more weapon just creates mismatches. I do believe that he believes he served his time and that it's best for the football team. Health on the other receivers or not, I don't believe that's the only reason. I think Bruce wants to win again, and he knows Brown's another player that gives him a chance.
All right, I want to talk to you about what happened in New York on Sunday. You know I'm a big Giants fan. That franchise has gone from one of the proudest, best-run franchises to really the bottom of the barrel. First of all, on Sunday, I don't know if you saw this, they had fucking Fan Appreciation Day, and they gave their season ticket holders, are you ready for this? They gave their season ticket holders a free medium Pepsi for Fan Appreciation Day. But not everyone that went to the game got a free Pepsi. They sent you, what is it, a voucher. So if you were a season ticket holder and you had, let's say, 4 tickets, that's only 1 medium Pepsi, okay, for being a New York Giants fan.
You got to split it.
Right.
Split the one. Okay, got it. Sounds good.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, this franchise is so far away from being competitive that I don't even know where to start. I mean, Dave Gettleman has been a disaster. His draft picks have been a disaster. It's just awful. And the Giants, looking ahead, they do have 2 first-round picks, their own and the Bears, but they're going to have a new GM. But if you pick the wrong fucking guys all the time, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to leave that there. Then I watch the Cowboys right now, and I watch Dak Prescott, and I got to tell you, Sean, he's leaving plays on the field that, to me, at this point in his career, are alarming to me with the playoffs only a couple of weeks away. When I see Dak Prescott, do you look at this differently? You know the quarterback position a hell of a lot more than I do. I'm just not that impressed with what I'm seeing right now.
Well, address the Giants first. You'd have been less embarrassing if you just wouldn't have appreciated your fans at all instead of a fucking medium Pepsi, okay? With all the money they spend to have to watch that just fucking disaster on a regular basis. Their offense will make you throw up in their mouth. But there's a few of those teams in the league. Giants are just one of them. I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I assure you I can draft players better than they can. I promise you I can.
I could too.
I can draft them better, and we'd be more competitive. Sure you would. I'm just telling you, that's too proud a city and too many good opportunities and too great an ownership that we've known for this to be flourishing in horse shit. They're better than this, and they should be. That's neither here nor there now because they're going to be watching like the rest of us in January, right? The Cowboys, Grant, I'm with you. I'm a big Prescott guy, but I don't know if it's. Think about the first 5 weeks of the season. I would have told you. I know Dak had missed a couple weeks. I would have told you that he's the. He missed what? Grant, was he sick of COVID for like a week early in the season? What he missed something? Was it his ankle or whatever it was for a couple games? Right. I'm putting 2020 and 2021 together. Shoulder.
He had an arm. He had an
there you go. There you go. Hell, like 2020, I can't get COVID and ankle injuries and fucking shoulder injuries, and I can't get any of it straight. And their years are running together, and they're trying to make 2022 run into 2021 and 2020 for another day. Anyway, I would have never told you we'd be talking about the Cowboys offense like this. I never would have. And if I'd have told you at the beginning of the year, Dan Quinn trying to get it right, you draft Parsons, still trying to scramble around, that the defense was going to be the strength of their team. I'm talking about before we opened the season. You said, well, how will Dan Quinn be? Is Parsons? Well, Parsons is a friggin' monster.
Oh, boy.
I mean, he's fucking a monster. And you would have said, well, I'll take the offense. That's my safe place. Well, it's not been safe. Kellen Moore has not been in rhythm. Dak has missed throws that Grant he'd been making on one foot with his eyes closed. So you're right. Stuff that if they play like this, they're not getting out of the first round. They're done. I'm just telling you because Right now, they don't scare you, yet there's always that little carrot that you say, Dak has got to get hot at some point, right? He's better than this. And I'm shocked because I am a huge fan and I'll have to eat some crow because I would have said that he was a 5,000-yard guy this year and was a 40-touchdown guy. And I know he's really good, but I don't care about potential, what he can be. I need to know what you are. And right now, what the Cowboys are is an average offense that needs turnovers and short fields to beat bad teams or average teams. The question is, when you run into Brady and the Arizona and the Rams and Rodgers, there's no easy way out. So the 7th seed right now can compete with the Cowboys, Grant. I'm just telling you, you can. Now, that could change in a hurry, but I don't like the way Prescott's playing, and I have no problem criticizing, saying I was wrong. So far right now, I'm not – Prescott has to play better or this football team has no shot. It has no shot in the postseason.
Yep. Well, and that's why I brought it up because, for a couple of weeks in the middle of the season, he had an excuse. He didn't have Lamb on the field. He didn't have Cooper on the field. But, now there really are no excuses. You have an offensive line. It's not great anymore, but it's good. You have two tremendous running backs. You have a tight end. I mean, you have everything you need to be successful offensively, but you can't have your quarterback missing throws the way Prescott has the last couple of weeks. Because, listen, Sean, you know this. I mean, shit. You miss one throw in the playoffs. That's the difference between winning and losing a lot of times.
And that's given another great player an extra series. And like I said, the thing is, it's not that I trust Dak that he knows what's going on. And I know he's working hard and wants to do well. But he's missing throws that I just don't ever see him miss. He's missing throws that an average quarterback misses, right? Or sometimes makes. He looks like a guy, if you didn't know anything about him and you didn't know he got paid all that money and you were watching the Cowboys offense for a month, 6 weeks, just the up and down, you'd look and say, who's that quarterback? Oh, he's a big, strong guy. He makes some good throws, but man, he's missed some easy ones.
Does that tell you that maybe he's hurt and he's not letting on? Do you think he could be playing hurt? And
I don't like this. That kind of, I don't know, Grant, but knowing the player he is, it makes me think, am I missing something here? Is he not comfortable in his lower half of his body? Is a play calling? Are they not in a rhythm? Because this is a team that you blame, boom, 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 boom. They run, they throw, and it's like, oh, they hung 40 on you. But I don't know what it is. But I should never look at Dak Prescott, knowing what I know and love about him, and think Cousins, Prescott, throwing the second tier of quarterbacks into the same. I should be talking, because I went into the season saying he's a top 5 player in this league. In the first few weeks, he showed that's a top 5 quarterback in the league. Now you'd go through 5, 6, 7, 8, and you say, oh, yeah, Dak. He should be an oh, yeah guy. He should be that guy. And right now he's not playing like it. But they have to turn that around. He's got to play better because that's the type of guy that can carry you when something else isn't working. And they're going to need that in the postseason with this NFC.
All right, I know how you feel about COVID in the NFL. We went through this last week, so I get that. I want you to look in your crystal ball for me because we saw it last night. We saw the game be impacted in Cleveland because of COVID. With everything that's going on, and it's getting worse by the day, how would we think that we're going to get through the NFL playoffs without – first of all, are we going to get through the NFL playoffs? That's number one. Number two, will there be fans at the NFL playoffs if we do have games? But thirdly, how the hell are games not going to be impacted? Again, we just saw the Browns game. I mean, they lose on a last-second field goal. Half their fucking team's off the field with COVID. How can that? We know that's going to happen in the playoffs. It's going to happen to some team. It just has to. It's inevitable. We are truly entering a world of unknown. We're entering a uncharted territory, I think, coming up next month for the NFL playoffs. I really do. I don't see how it changes.
Yeah, Grant, I feel like I can't believe we're here still. I know. I'm not even talking about the doctor thing. Now we all have our opinions, and like I said, if the vax and all that, this isn't an anti-vax or vax. That's not what this is. You and I, we've had that conversation. This is protocol and how we're going to pull this off, right? I mean, I'm just talking about when I say we, the NFL, and do it because they don't want to lose money by losing games. They don't want to throw a strike team, a guy who's on a practice squad, and which looks like a lockout team on the field, right? That crossed over the picket line and is playing football. I don't mean it disrespectful, but you get my point, right?
Absolutely.
And depth-wise, and I mean it's a disaster. But we do have players in the stands. I mean, fans in the stands. People are going, enjoying the hell out of it. I'll tell you how we stop it. And I know the protocols have started to change, but if you're healthy and you're asymptomatic, and they've made the decision on I understand their rules on the unvaxxed player. I get it. But if you're vaccinated and you have no symptoms and you are feeling well and you're not sick, you should be playing football. Right. You should be now, because I can tell you this, back in May of 2020, I had it. And although I got up and did radio remotely during that 2.5 to 3 week period of time, there are certain days I thought, man, if I had to play in a game today, could I have? If it was like a playoff single elimination. Sure. I asked that. Or a baseball World Series. I mean, you ask that, and I say, and I probably say, I guess you could suck it up and give yourself, but it would be hard to do, right? I talk about when you get hit with those. I get that. But if you're sick, stay home. Yeah. And let's keep playing. If you're asymptomatic and you're a player that's been vaccinated, which 90+% of them have, I don't know why we're not playing football. So, Grant, I don't know the answer. I mean, we see restaurants closing down, and we're right back to where we were a year ago with this. And I'm not a doctor.
The NHL is closed right now.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And they just said we're done. We're not sending players to the Olympics. And the NBA just came out and said they want all teams to prepare for game changes on Christmas Day, the times of games. So my point is, like, I made this comment yesterday, Sean. Think where we were last Tuesday and think where we are today on this Tuesday. And we may be on next Tuesday or the Tuesday after, and we may go, holy shit, Sean, you remember just last week when we were talking about this, and now look at how fucking bad things are. That's how things are spiraling out of control, not just in sports, but everywhere. Look at New York, Sean. Look at the cases in New York. It's fucking crazy. I mean, it's awful.
But here, let me be the devil's advocate to this. And once again, I shouldn't even have to fucking qualify this, but I'm going to. That nobody wants anybody to die. Nobody wants anybody to die. Nobody thinks sports are bigger than your mom and dad's health. No, nobody. I'm preaching to the choir here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would take an insensitive asshole to want somebody sick, right? Yeah. Or to wish it on anybody. This isn't about politics and do this. This is simply about common sense, respect, and not fear-mongering, but also not taking it for granted. There's with all this. If somebody's hacking and coughing and feeling miserable, hell, we got to get them safe and get them in a hospital or whatever if they feel they need it. I get that. But, Grant, I listen, just because it's a hyper-infectious type of thing, this Omicron thing, doesn't mean people are getting sicker or dying more from it. That's my point. I know, I get it. If you're a fan and the players, you say, well, he tested positive, but he's playing. First of all, we shouldn't test a healthy, vaccinated player. He shouldn't even have to take a test. Okay. He shouldn't have to be reminded he's sick when he's not sick. Okay.
Agreed.
So if you're a 75 or you're 40 and you're high risk, you probably shouldn't go to the game. Right? You probably shouldn't go to the game. You should probably stay home. I'm not saying, well, you're punishing us. No, I'm trying to make it so you can watch your game and they can play a game and nobody gets sick. And if you're healthy and you tested positive, but you're not sick and no symptoms and you're vaccinated, go watch the game and enjoy the hell out of yourself. Adam Silver and Grant, you had mentioned it. The recent COVID surge is hyperinfectious, the Omicron. Well, see, we get caught up. Oh, it's if you test positive, doesn't mean you're sick. It just means you tested positive, which you see. Hell, nobody's going to throw this. Well, it's the unvaccinated. The vaccinated galore are test. I mean, it's on a rate because there's more vaccinated than unvaccinated. More vaccinated are testing positive than unvaccinated because there's more of them in our pro sports right now. So he said, despite rising concerns, this is Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. He said Tuesday, the current situation there is no plans to pause the season. The virus will not be eradicated. Of course it won't. And it's going to be here next spring, and there's going to be a new variant next summer. So when do we start to learn to deal with it by healthy people and non-healthy people, vaccinated and vaccinated? And we're going to have to learn to live with it, Silver continued. Say that one more time. We're going to have to learn to live with it. And if it's 99% health and it's just, okay, you tested positive, but you're really healthy, everything's fine, cool. If you have a sniffle, stay home from work for a day or two and then get yourself back if you're feeling healthy. Silver continued, in addition, beyond dominant, the variant has become beyond dominant and is responsible for around 90% of the league's current COVID cases. So point is, he's saying, listen, it isn't going away. I don't want to say it's safe, but it's not, people aren't getting sicker, they're just testing positive. Doesn't mean,
right.
If with antibodies and if you had it, you got a vaccination and you're not feeling sick, we shouldn't be testing healthy people, in my opinion. That's just me. I'm not a doctor. I think there's virtue signaling, and I think there's some who don't take it serious enough. I do, somewhere in between. But the NBA is not stopping down. The NFL shouldn't stop down, Grant. I'm just telling you. If the NBA's protocols were, the NFL's protocols were right like they said they were going to be in the summertime, and they've changed throughout, and I know the virus changes. Healthy people who have vaccination should be okay to go. When they're looking around saying, I'm not sick, I have nothing. But you tested positive, and I got to live. And Adam Silver is now. If somebody that wasn't Adam Silver said that, people would rip his ass to shreds. Oh, what do you mean? You go to work. We're going to have to learn to live with this. You just want people dead, right? No, Adam Silver doesn't want people dead. Adam Silver gets it. He talks to all these doctors. He's running a league with it's the $1 billion league, or times 20, and
right.
is getting all the information. And the truth is, Grant, I don't know what the next variant is. It's coming. So eventually with and at what point in time does 18 Browns and 36 Browns herd immunity kick in for their team? When does that kick in? We're not going to play games without fans, and we're not going to miss playoff games. They are going to play them. And if you're healthy, they should. And you shouldn't be testing healthy people who aren't sick and are vaccinated. You shouldn't be. That's, like I said, from my point of view, and if I was a player, I'd want to play. And I think it's kind of silly that we're testing people that shouldn't be tested when they're 100% healthy. That's just, now, I don't want anybody sick. If you're sick, stay your ass home. Treat people with respect. Nobody wants their parents sick or there's somebody who's high risk. But if 52 guys are healthy and the 53rd guy's sick, he stays home. No, we got nothing other than we tested positive because it's a highly infectious. Doesn't mean highly deadly. It means highly infectious, this variant. I don't think, Grant, and if you really want to be cold-blooded about it, the NFL doesn't want to lose money, dude, and they're not going to. And you and I both know it.
Something else I wanted to ask you about, with the advent of the college football playoff that we've gotten accustomed to, does it change the way you watch bowl games? Do you give a shit about the other bowl games? And forget about gambling. Obviously people want to bet and they're going to watch, a lesser game. You're a football junkie. You love the sport. But do you still get as wrapped up in the other bowl games now that we have a college football playoff and really that's the only thing that matters?
Good matchups, I will, like on the New Year's Day 6, right? Grant on January 1st, but for instance, what is it? UTSA is getting ready to play. Who's UTSA playing today? San Diego State. And San Diego State. See, that's another thing. I can't even remember the name of the Bulls. You're right. Here we are on December 21st or 22nd. Today's 22nd. December. I don't even know what day it is. 22nd. And I'll tune it in because I know that UTSA had one loss. San Diego State's a hometown team. But I'll watch background noise, Grant. And if there's a better movie on, I'll turn on the movie, right? Or something else I'm doing. But when you get to the Final Four and you get to or a Rose Bowl or whatever one's not part of the Final 14 playoff, I'll watch those. But I don't watch – I used to watch all the bowl games, right? When it was the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl. Remember those days? And yes, I want to see players. It didn't matter. It was just football. Now it may be on. It may not be on. There are certain games I'll watch through the gambling part, which you said I'll watch a game because I may have a bet on it. But I don't – it's not – well, as you can see in the stands, they don't care as much either because you'll have a bowl game played on December 23rd that they'll be the stands are 3/4 full, empty, and it's family and some friends or somebody local. I don't know how we fix that, but no, I'm not near I can't even tell you who there's another game on today, a bowl game. I used to be able to tell you every single one of them. I don't know the name of it, and I don't know who's playing. I don't even know where San Diego State and UTSA are playing. Have no idea. And that's two good teams. San Diego State's top 25. UTSA, I think, lost 1 or 2 games. Has had a hell of a season. I have no idea. So, no, the answer is no. I'm not as into it. New Year's Day, because that's the feel. I wake up and watch all those games, and now December 31st. But other than that, you can, I mean, if I turn it in and I'm watching a bowl game here, a Peach Bowl there, Pitt play, just to see a player, but now they're opting out. You want to stop them from opting out, the Kenny Pickett's of the world, make it a 12-team playoff. They won't opt out then. They're opting out because it doesn't mean anything. If they got a chance to win a national title, they'll stay and play.
Amen. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, buddy. Have a fucking great Christmas. It's been so awesome doing this with you. I love it.
Are we going to do one next week before the national title, before the Final Four?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, because Thursday I can't. I'm sure it's too close to Christmas.
We're still streaming. We're still streaming right now. So I just want to let you know we're still on. So maybe next Tuesday or something. Yeah, because I would love to talk. I would love to do it before the game. So you pick out a day and a time, and we'll do it for sure. Yeah,
I wasn't going to say anything stupid. I never do. Or I always say something stupid, but I know we're streaming. I got you.
No, I just wanted to get, I just wanted to. By the way, I saw the cutest little dog in the background when we started. What's the name of that little dog again that you have?
That is Patron. That's my 10-pound. That's my 10-pound Maltese and Shih Tzu mix, and then I got the 80-pound American Bully, which gets to bullying once in a while and barks, and they go nose to nose, and the 10-pounder won't back off. So, yeah, my man, you be safe, and should be a fun. And we got 2 more NFL games tonight, so we get a lot of football, and we'll look forward to talking next week and get ourselves ready for the final. And you have fun and have a great weekend. Merry Christmas to you, brother. Merry friggin' Christmas. You deserve it.
Merry Christmas to you. Be good, bud.
Love you, bud.